there, I'm Beckon, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. This is a review of Lost in Space Season 2, well, new Lost in Space Season 2, Episode 3. Actually, you know, I watched it, and I fell asleep the first time I watched it. That's not a reflection of it. I'm just kind of an old boomer, you know, and I fall asleep at that episode. I fell asleep a few minutes in the middle, so I couldn't really remember what it was about. I just went through the whole episode and wrote notes on it. I spent half an hour writing notes on it, so I knew exactly what the plot is. But before we get that, if you like Doctor Who, if you don't like Doctor Who, what's wrong with you? Doctor Who is awesome. I'm giving away Doctor Who DVDs. I'm giving away a particularly good Doctor Who DVD. It is, I'm going to take it out this cover. Because, can you say it if I do that? Yeah. Particularly good Doctor Who. This is David Tennant's Season 1, which is the second series of Doctor Who. With Billie Piper. It's got the Christmas invasion on it. So the Christmas episode goes all the way through to Doomsday, the last episode of the season. Tons of extras. You know, when Doctor Who was coming out then, that's really when it was on its way up. You know, Russell T Davies and Phil Collins and the people who made it, they would release a podcast, like an MP3 podcast each week, which you could then play and watch it with the episode there included. You got Doctor Who Confidential, mate. It's a fantastic set. So what you need to do to win it, all you need to do is subscribe to my channel and leave a hashtag anywhere you like, saying Doomsday. I'm going to put the instructions in this video now, and you would hit Doomsday, and you can leave it on Twitter, YouTube, obviously, we're on YouTube now, or Facebook, wherever. If you look, I'll do a search for the hashtag. I do the drawings on Sunday, when I am on the TARDIS Zone with normally Blue Bonnet Hoovian and Noel, and I do the drawing. Then we do it right after the episode airs of the new series of Doctor Who, which, and they're not complimentary reviews. I just said, if you like people not liking things, you might want to tune into that live stream. That airs what, about 10 o'clock on, what was it? In UK time around 9-10 o'clock. In East Coast America, it's what, about 5 in the afternoon, and in the West Coast it'll be what, 2 or 3 in the afternoon, somewhere around there. Anyway, that's when I do the drawing, and then I'm going to do more giveaways the next couple of months. Anyway, I digress. I'm talking about Lost in Space Season 2, Episode 3. Not the original series, which is the Ghost Planet, which I remember being kind of a fun, bonkers episode. I'm not going to go into that now. So, full spoilers, tons of spoilers. What I've decided to do with my reviews from now on is, because there's so many people not watching Doctor Who, and they just want to know, and that's what I do reviews on. They just want to know what the hell happens. So I'm just going to go through the entire plot with you and react to it as we go along. I'll be doing that with Doctor Who. So I'm watching it so you don't have to. But actually, I have to say, I quite like Lost in Space. It's not brilliant, but it's worth my time. It's 2019, 2020. Woke, but not, for me, not offensively woke. You know, I think the biggest wokeness of it is they've made the mother, Maureen, the commander, and she's very commanding, and her husband, John, played by Toby Stephens. By the way, Big Finish, to do audio books and productions. They wanted to do a James Bond series, and they wanted Toby Stephens as the guy they wanted to cast as Bond. He was really good as Captain Flint in Black Sails, which is a prequel to Treasure Island. So he plays John Robson, and you know, I wouldn't say he's not in command. He's subordinate to his wife, but he's not cucked by his wife. You know, it's like he seems to be his own person, and he's not like you know, they managed to raise up Maureen, the character of Maureen, without diminishing John, which I like, that's why it's not offensive to me, and offensively woke to me. When I think, you know, they need to do that more. And yeah, if you're comfortable enough with who you are, you're not going to be bothered by it. Like, you know, this whole thing about women in the workplace, for example. I like getting a raw deal. I believe abuse happens everywhere, and people get raw deals everywhere. I've never had the situation, and maybe you have, you'll tell me, where I've walked in and my boss has been a woman. I'm like, I'm a freelancer, so I just never, when a boss has been a woman, I go, oh no, like, why would anybody care? I'd like, why would anybody care? But you know, yeah, there is a culture of victimhood which I just don't like. I think it's a bit silly. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about Lost in Space Season 2, Episode 3. What's this episode called? It's okay. It's one of the famous. It's tapping into a famous Lost in Space trope, which is they find a derelict. Oh yeah, I'm just looking on IMDb. Sorry, this one is called Unknown. Okay, it's a bit of a boring title. Really? Is that the name? That season? Yeah, Unknown. I didn't think that was the name. I thought the next episode was called Scarecrow, but I might be mistaken. Okay, fine. It says it's Evolution. Never mind. Fine. So we start off. There's a at the end of the last episode, the Robinsons have managed to power up their ship and escape from the planet they've been trapped on for the last 7 months, and they're out in space. So it starts off with kind of a cool dream sequence where the a evil robot, not the good robot, is attacking Will, and then Maureen wakes up, and they make it to the Resolute, this kind of like flying space station that was their home base. So, see, again, this is very obviously going back to the a trope of Lost in Space where they find a derelict craft. They did this in the TV show. They did this in the '98 movie. I kind of like the '98 movie. I really do. It's it worked for me as a movie and as a Lost in Space. And I'm not a massive Lost in Space fan. I just like, when I was a teenager, they had it on Sundays before Network 7. Geez, now I'm dating myself. If you're from England, do you remember Network 7? It was this new youth TV initiative. It was on Sunday. Was it Network 7? Yeah, it started at like noon, so you watch it in bed. Being a loathing teenager, and they just had like lots of youth stuff. They also had like a Jerry Anderson show on it called Dick Spanner, which was a bit weird. Wasn't very Jerry Anderson. So anyway, so this is they find the Resolute, and it's mysteriously it's not where it should be, and it's not responding to any hells. But they're fine with that. They have no problem. They're like, yeah, okay, probably everything's okay. And they leave Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith is I think the secret source of this, one of the secret sources of this show. Parker Posey, Dr. Smith, fantastic. She a lot like who was it who played Dr. Smith in the original? It's one of the things I'm going to remember as I finish this review, as I hit stop recording. Whatever. But she really imbues the character with a real humanity, and you get to I kind of root for her. She does terrible things, but it's all in like the self-preservation. And I don't think she wants to be evil. She just wants to be be left alone, really, and to be able to do what she wants. But I really like the way they're writing her and the performance of her. Excellent. You know what? Yeah, I keep thinking who would be a better Doctor Who. I keep going back to Doctor Who because it's obsessing me right now. I keep thinking who would be a better female Doctor Who. Parker Posey, even though she's American. Yeah, I'm Canadian. Even though, whatever she is, I would like. I think she would be so much more convincing a Doctor Who than Jodie Whittaker. Anyway. So they're not bothered that they're not returning any hells, and they're not where it should be. They've never seen any movies, obviously, the Robinson, and they leave Dr. Smith handcuffed on the Jupiter 2 with Don West, who's still recovering from injuries from the last episode. Which it's a really nice touch. The first time I saw them do that, like injuries being real, was I think the first season of Battlestar Galactica, where Starbuck crashed on a planet, and then for the next like 3 or 4 episodes, she had like her leg in a what's it? Not a sling. You don't put a leg in a sling. You had in a brace or whatever it is. I just like, so that's a nice touch which I like. So he's stuck on the ship. They leave Dr. Smith handcuffed there for the authorities. So they figure they're just going to walk out, and everybody's going to be there Resolute, and they'll just go and pick her up and put her in jail. So they start wandering around the Resolute, and nobody's there. They're still not bothered. They're like, oh, just run down the corridor. Nothing's going to go wrong. Again, have they never seen any freaking movies, these people? Smith instantaneously breaks out of her handcuffs, and she goes to see Don West, and he finds her the ID she has for the real Dr. Smith. She stole the identity of Dr. Smith, and the ID the guy playing Dr. Smith in the picture, and we see him later in the episode, is Bill Murray, which is really cool. I always like seeing little cameos. Yeah, in anything, I think this episode really no one say fails, but isn't as good as the previous one. For the simple reason, you never have that Lost in Spacey music playing. Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah, that's really, just give me that a couple of times in the episode, and I'll listen to pretty much anything else you want. I don't know why I like that. Again, I'm not a massive Lost in Space fan, but I just like hearing that music. I don't know why. Fine. So she gets out. She gets the she gets the ID of Dr. Smith, and so finally the Robinsons realise that something amiss when they realise nobody's here, and they go to the logs of the Resolute and find out it's been abandoned for 7 months, the amount of time that they've been missing as well. So Smith, again, I just love watching it. Smith is really, again, I love watching her. She's so devious and clever. I love that. So she sets a fire to, because she can't get out because she's got this, they have this little chip. Where do they put the chip? It's like in here somewhere or in here. Yeah, which says, which has a real name. I think Harris? Oh, Zachary, is it Zach? No. Whatever the guy who played the original Dr. Smith's name, his last name was Harris. Oh, I'm so close to remembering it. Anyway, so the chip says she's like a prisoner. She's not allowed out. So she sets a fire, which opens up the doors to let her out, but also closes up all the doors for the Robinsons, so they all get separated. So in 3 groups, you have Will and Penny in one group, you have Judy in another, and you have John and Maureen in a third. And they're trying to work out a way of regrouping, how to get back together again. Judy meets a little kid who had apparently been left behind in the evacuation of the Resolute, and she finds out they evacuated because of the monster. And I can't remember. Didn't we see the 2 robots fight at the end of the last season? Oh, I thought it was on Jupiter 2. Maybe they. Oh yeah, was it their fight? They then tumbled through space, and then were saying they ended up on the Resolute. Fine. Let's go. What happened next? The Jupiter 2. But yeah, back on the Jupiter 2. Oh yeah. Back on the Jupiter 2. Don hears like these sounds coming from the hold. He goes to investigate. He looks in that big box they have strapped down, which they had the piece of the robot in from before, and it's going crazy. So he looks up again and says, "What's going on with this?" So I'm thinking that when you get enough bits of the robot together, they form like a group. It becomes more alive, which is what I think is going on here. So the Robinsons are trying to regroup. They're trying to get to the mess hall. Maureen sends Don to the cockpit of the Jupiter 2, which was really quite nice because he can see in the distance the mess hall, and so it's looking through binoculars, so he can keep an eye on Will and Penny and anything else that may be out there on the station. They've been hearing noises, and they get the idea that they are not alone. Fine. So then the noises of whatever's on the Resolute with them starts to come towards Will and Penny, and they hide, and it's all scary. Woo! And it turns out to be a horse. Which do you reckon they ripped that off? Oh God, I'm talking about Doctor Who again. Hey, they ripped it off from an episode in this one. Girl on the Fireplace. I think they ripped it off from episode 3. It's on disc 2. Okay, bye. What a great run of episodes. You had Tooth and Claw, School Reunion, Girl on the Fireplace. If you don't know what I'm talking about, fantastic run of 3 episodes. Really, really awesome. But the intruder, the weird sounds they hear, is now stalking Judy, who's in the air ducts and inside the ship with the kid Samantha, and they're hiding from it. All the meantime, the real Dr. Smith all the meantime, Dr. Smith, our Dr. Smith, Parker Posey, is trying to erase her identity and replace herself with the real Dr. Smith. So she hacks into a computer and like changes all the details, and we get a bit of some flashbacks to her. And again, it paints her in a bad light, but she just plays it so relatably. I don't know. Look, don't get me wrong. I would not like to know or be friends with this Dr. Smith. That is bad news. She will cut your throat in a second. Oh no, she'll leave you for your throat to be cut in a second, I think. Fine. So then it turns out the real Dr. Smith, again played by Bill Mumy, is alive and is in stasis, which I completely forgot about. I thought he was dead. So She goes to him, and you think she's going to kill him, which I thought was kind of dark and interesting. But then, yeah, we get a little bit more of an insight into her, that she's okay. She's really fine. We have another cool flashback. She's really fine, hurting and stealing from people without seeing their face. And if she does have to see their face, she's like, well, I got to do what I got to do. But she's not so fine just doing it to their face. You know, she feels, so she's like, so you think she's going to kill, I thought she was going to kill Will Smith. What she did, she took out his little chip thing. For some reason, I don't know. Obviously to put in her wrist. That's the word I was looking for. So the unseen intruder is still stalking the Robinsons, and they're getting closer. Oh, and then we have this other bit of Smith who goes around deleting all the footage of her being caught in the first season. That was called on CCTV. Right, so she's really completely whitewashing herself. But then when she's doing that, she sees the moment in the first episode where she essentially kills somebody. Somebody was going to get, somebody needed to get a door open, and she was going to open it, but she was too scared, and which led to that person being killed. Again, which she definitely feels regret and remorse about that, but she also feels she didn't have any other option. So fine, back to the unseen intruder. It's stalking the Robinson. It goes to the mess hall where Will and Penny in there, and it's like it's not a full robot. It's just a couple of arms and stumps, and then John and Maureen are rushing to get to them, and then John just managed to distract her by singing very loudly and very badly. Toby Stevens, you did the right thing by going into acting and not into music. If you ever see any musical theatre with him in, maybe you want to think twice. Or maybe he's a good singer and he's just like putting on how being awful. He sings the way I would sing, which is very badly, which is why you're never going to see me do karaoke. Oh, unless you get me very drunk. No, it's going to get me really... You have to get me so drunk to do karaoke, I would pass out before I would do it. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. So, fine. So, we... John and Maureen managed to lure the robot stump thing in and trap it. And then another ship turns up. They who are apparently survivors, or who have evacuated from the Resolute. And they picked up their signal as soon as they docked, or as soon as they jumped. I can't remember which. And so they tell them about the robot that they trapped, and the guy said, "You didn't trap it. You just put it back. It was always there." Turns out the robot was always on the Jupiter 2, and it in the first season it was very heavily, I think more than intimated, just told you that it was going to. It was the They found that technology is how they managed to get into space and get off Earth, which they need to do because the Earth is dying. And we end so the survivors apparently on a planet. I guess we'll see them later in the season. But next episode they end on the teaser said, "We're going to tell you everything that we've been doing with the robot and what the story is and everything." So okay, so that left on a bit of I would say a mild cliffhanger. If I was going to give this one a score out of 10, I would say 6 out of 10. 6 Moxer balls out of 10. It's my rabbinic assessment of the episode. Look, if you like Lost in Space, you like Lost in Space. Again, my review still remains the same. It's not bad. It's just good enough for me to watch. But I'm kind of glad it's there. And, I'm actually kind of into watching the next episode, where I think they're going to do a massive info dump about the robot. My name is Svila Bekin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos are dropped. And let me know what you think. Hey, look, if you have strong thoughts about Lost in Space, let me know in the comments. I really enjoy the comments. That's one of the best bits about YouTubing. Thanks so much for listening, and have a fantastic day.